Hello, welcome back to the Good, the Bad and the Stupid News. It's Wednesday, August the 14th, and it's pissing down. Very miserable outside, so in a way it was good in the sense that it forced me to get things done that I've been putting off or avoiding because I'm not so tech savvy, but I believe I've now managed to get these videos up onto a podcast as well. So if you're sick of seeing my face, well, you're probably not sick of seeing my face because you're not actually watching, are you? Come on, nobody's watching these videos yet. So when you finally do come around and find this video, and it's old news, so you won't watch it anyway, oh god, but you're basically going to find out that there's now a podcast under the same name, the Good, the Bad and the Stupid. It's called the Good, the Bad and the Stupid podbean.com. It's under the name Podbean anyway, Podbean, but it'll be on iTunes and all the other channels as well. So that's basically just the audio of these videos. So if you haven't got time to watch me and my pretty face, and as for the podcast, if you're listening on the podcast, there'll be times when I'm showing pictures which clearly you're not going to be able to see, but I'll show them to the video. So I mean, if you want to see the pictures, you'll have to come over to the watch it on the video, won't you? And also, if you're on the podcast and you haven't heard, or you haven't seen any of the videos prior to this, then basically it's just a review of the news, mostly in one take because I can't be bothered to edit it. So there'll be pratfalls and pitfalls along the way, but that's just the way that it is. And hopefully that just amuses you, so you know you get something out of it one way or the other anyway. So just going to get straight on with it and start with, I've got a pile there, so whether I'm going to get through them all, who knows, but let's try and crack on. First of all, we've got UKIP. They're always good for a laugh, aren't they? UKIP. They've appointed, they're kind of like almost like a caricature of a like political party, aren't they? They kind of keep doing things that bring ridicule on them. I mean, for instance, the guy who's just been appointed the UKIP's new boss, his name is Richard Braine, and his nickname, well, especially according to George Osborne, is Dick Braine. But George Osborne has said the new leader, well, once said, tweeted after Mr. Braine won the leadership, so he's only just tweeted it, that the new leader of UKIP is called Mr. Dick Braine. Really? With a question mark. So, and then this guy said, I'm getting a bit fed up with all the Dick Braine stuff, as you would. He's probably had it all his life, to be fair. It's time to change it's time to change my name to stop the bullying. So it is kind of bullying, isn't it? And unfortunately, you're in a position where people are just going to dig you. But any other kind of situation, that'd be like, you know, school bullying and all that kind of stuff, isn't it? So it's just an adult version of that. But anyway, he hit back. He didn't sort of, you know, he didn't just take it. He hit back. George Osborne, so he should have kept his mouth shut. Are my prospects better if I change my Oh, that's it. Yeah. He had a dig at Mr. Osborne, who's now the London Evening Standard editor, because George Osborne actually changed his name as a teenager from Gideon to George, because he obviously was having the piss taken out of him about Gideon. So Mr. Braine knew that, so he's come back and said, are my prospects better if I change my Christian name to Gideon or George? So touche, he's got him back there, because I bet nobody knew that. He's like, how the fuck's you know that? Bastard. But he's exactly the same. So he's got him back, so that's good, but he's still Dick Braine and he's still Gideon Osborne. But yeah, you get embarrassed about your names at school, didn't you? I have my middle name's Reginald, but I actually like it now. I like that, only because, you know, before you think Reginald was like a fucking load of plonkers, didn't you? But when you got Reginald Cray, Reggie Cray or whatever, then you're right, you're in a safe territory, then, didn't you? But everyone used to, but it's all as an old person's name, wasn't it? But I didn't tell anybody that when I was at school for a while. I don't really tell anybody it now, apart from on the podcast, but nobody's listening, so it's all good. Don't sweat. It's out there now. I can't take it back because I'm not going to edit this video. So if you can just forget that I said that, and all good. What we got here? Okay, so I'm not going to dwell on bad things too much, but there was a guy in Sydney, wasn't it, that went around stabbing people, killed someone, stabbing, and three British guys took him down basically, and sort of held him and sort of controlled him until the police come. So that's good. That's laying the flag for British, morals and things like that. So it's great that they did it. I mean, they actually live there, but still, they're still British. But I wanted to show a picture of the one guy, one of the three brothers they were. And as soon as they heard it, apparently they heard one of them shouted to his brother, "Oh, there's somebody with a knife in the street. Come on!" So they've gone and they've darted out to sort of get involved. They didn't sort of fucking hide behind the curtains or stand there with a video, which somebody did because I've seen the video. I guess you need somebody to do everything. Well, you do the camera, I'll knock him out, and do it that way. You got to have all, but you can't just say I'll do the camera, you knock him out. You got to be the fucking. Somebody's got to take the higher ground, didn't they? But anyway, what I was going to say is that's one of the brothers. Yeah, look at him there. I mean, he's obviously Thai fighter. He obviously does Thai boxing or Thai training and stuff like that. But he was fucking keen to get involved one way or another, wasn't he? Look, he's primed and ready. He's fucking ready for any situation. So he was like that. Right, there's a fight. I ain't going to get nicked if I kick the fuck out of somebody. I'm in. And he's ran out and tested his skills and took the guy out. So that's good news for them. Good news for anybody else who might have fucking fell victim to the arsehole that I mean, if you want to see what he did, then you have to look into it, but I ain't going to dwell on it too much here. What's this? Why is this not me? A couple, I don't have a cat, I suppose. A couple won £1 million on a scratch card because cat was hungry and they had to go out and get some cat food. So while he was out getting some cat food, he bought a scratch card. Scratch card, £1 million. I don't buy scratch. Actually, I'd never buy them, but I bought one the other day just because the woman behind the counter was taking so long, taking a parcel in, fucking about with the machine. I just thought, I was just looking at the scratch card. I said, while I'm waiting, then I'll have one of them. And I won a £5. But, I didn't get overly excited about that, especially when I saw that on the same day. Somebody won £1 million on one. All because his cat was hungry, so the cat's going to be pampered from now on. But there's always a story attached to why you happen to buy that lottery at that particular time, innit? So if you think about it, it could be you one of these days. Millions and millions and millions of you, it won't be. So you're going to lose your money. But that one of you, it could be you. It could be me. What's this? Jodie Marsh. Jodie Marsh has had a tattoo of. At first I thought, I didn't read it, I thought Jodie Marsh had a tattoo of Chris Kamara. That's the way I first looked at that, but she's actually had a tattoo of Freddie Mercury, but it looks like Chris Kamara, and everyone's saying it looks like Chris Kamara, so that's a bit of a wounder, isn't it? Because now that's stuck, even if it doesn't, it does a little bit, but that joker's stuck now, so you'll probably just have to change it to Chris Kamara now, or forever be bantered that, oh, that looks like Chris Kamara, because everybody knows it. So you should just keep that one to yourself and not put it on social media, because you're on trial and error there, aren't you, on social media? Or you're you're opening yourself for the piss takes. What's this one? Oh, I like this one. This was good. A Scottish bagpipe champion has been branded a public nuisance by his English neighbours. I think it was busking. Was he busking? Neighbours claiming to be emergency service shift workers sent him an anonymous letter about the horrendous racket. They said, this is to make you aware of the disgraceful disturbance you are causing to your neighbours. The disgraceful, inconsiderate attitude that you have to all residents by making this extremely loud noise nuisance from your property shows you care nothing from the peace and quiet. He said he called the letter disparaging and horrible. He said, I was more hurt than angry. It's disappointing that someone would send a letter filled with insults rather than come and knock at my door and have a reasonable conversation. The letter was very insulting. I was genuinely shocked. I'm an accomplished player and I've won lots of competitions. But you're playing fucking bagpipes in your house, and most people's houses, the walls are thin, and if my next door neighbour was playing the bagpipes, believe me, it'd be pissing me right off. If somebody over the road was playing the bagpipes, it'd be pissing me off, because you can hear, I imagine you can hear the bagpipes fucking streets away. In fact, there's a guy 4 doors down from me who plays the drums. It pisses me off, but not enough to make me knock on his door yet. But if someone was playing the bagpipes, that's too far. Get a silencer or sort it out. Put them egg boxes all over your house. Otherwise, somebody's gonna. In another paper, I've just read the whole note there, but in another paper, it was just said that he'd received an anonymous threatening letter telling him to stop. And they sound more like, if you don't stop, you're going to end up in the river or something like that. It sounded more of a threatening thing. I thought he had some gangster who lived there or something like that, going like, cut it out or else. But it was actually just neighbours moaning. But no, they've got a right to moan, I reckon. Right, okay. The tiger tamer. Just a quick picture of the guy there's a guy there. Look at him there. He's with sharks, tiger sharks. Tiger sharks, one of the most dangerous sharks. I think they're up there with great whites, and he's cuddling them, stroking them, touching them, or whatever, and playing with them. But he must have fed them first, because I don't think you can do that with tiger sharks, or you can't do it with tiger sharks too many times. He's done it those times, and he's probably done it a few times, but I'd say he's not going to be around for too long if he keeps playing with tiger sharks, because they don't fuck around, do they? If they're hungry, he's a gunner. They're not pets and stuff. But he's calling himself a shark whisperer. But you're only a shark whisperer until you're shark food. I don't want to piss on his but I think that's. I don't think tiger sharks. They're like, is it bull sharks? Maybe tiger sharks. I might be getting them mixed up with bull sharks. But one of them is like proper predators. They don't give a shit. They just fucking have you. Anyway, what am I? I'm not a marine biologist. How do I know? I don't think that I've put them in some kind of order, but I'm going from tiger sharks to women who, what they call them, sperm burglars. I've ripped it up now. I've cut the bloody name up. It's a sperm blur. It's basically a woman who doesn't tell you that they're nicking your sperm or they're having sex with you purposely to get pregnant, but they're not telling you. And here they're calling them sperm burglars. It's a cross between sperm and burglar. So whatever word you can say that is, that's it. Basically, it's just got there's lots of stories about different women that have done it. I've just got one here. I'm just going to read the one out. But so be careful out there, guys. And also, well, I suppose literally you should have been careful in the first place, shouldn't you? So I met Tom on a night out, and he was tall, dark, handsome, and intelligent. I wanted someone with good genes, and he was perfect. So straight from the beginning, she's gone ding. She's thinking that. He's thinking something totally different. And he was perfect. We began seeing each other, and unknown to him, I stopped taking the pill. I deliberately had unprotected sex at my most fertile time of the month. It wasn't long before my boobs started to swell and I had morning sickness. I did a pregnancy test and it was positive. At 12 weeks, I sat Tom down, told him the good news. Tom didn't see it that way, except he didn't see it that way. I thought you were on the pill. He said he then went into meltdown. I don't want to have a baby. This is mad. And the guilt hit me and I said sorry. I don't know how it happened. if you don't want anything to do with it, I can do it alone. Yeah, and she basically kept it. He went off and did his thing, and she kept the baby. It's all right like that. If she's happy to do it, and no bother. Apart from somebody might come knocking in the future, or you might be interested in the future. But as long as they're not going, oh sorry, I didn't know how it happened. Maintenance. I want the money. I want fucking half your shit, and and I want you to have this little fucker half its life every other weekend. Give me a break. So yeah, so you got to be careful in those situations, because it does happen. You like to think it doesn't, but it does, and it happens the other way. So I'm not just saying it's just women. Don't get me wrong. In fact, I've got something to counteract it here. A mum of two romped with blues singer Simon Webb, the Lothario that is, while on the drunken passenger cruise ship, the Benidorm on Sea. You know, see the one the other week where it was kicking off on the cruise ship because somebody dressed in a clown tried to wear a clown suit to a black tie event. Anyway, it kicked off. And he was on there with Gareth Gates, so they were having a fucking party to forget. She basically met him, and he said to her that good old classic line, "Do you want some?" To which she said yes, and they got it on. And what'd she say? She missed the fight on the ship. The fight all kicked off. She missed it all because, and I quote, "I missed the whole thing because I was romping with Simon." Romping. It ended up being a waste of time putting my Prosecco down. I was probably in there for 15 minutes, maybe 20. So you let her down there, Simon. She was after a little bit more, fucking what you've been singing about for how many years in Blue, and you've dropped you've like you've not turned out to be who you've sung about, is what I'm trying to say. You've basically you've disappointed her. But anyway, she's married. Oh, sorry, he's married, and he's now probably going to be very closely divorced. But this is because this is in the newspaper. So this bird's just gone. I googled him afterwards, probably like going to think about contacting him and stuff. And he's married. She's going, so a woman scorned. So she's gone back and gone straight to the papers, really. Cashed in, and he's going to get bin bagged out, I imagine, because how are you going to live? You can't, if he makes the papers. That's it. There's only one way, then, isn't it? Moving on. Allo. The comedy is coming back, apparently. Only, well, they're saying that it's coming back only if PC Britain doesn't kill the idea, and I bet they do. But BBC or whatever. Allo was brilliant, wasn't it? It's fucking absolutely hilarious. The guy, Officer Crabtree, the British copper that can't talk French, and he's like, hilarious he was. I wonder if it's the same character, but it can't because half of them are dead, isn't it? So whether it'll be any good or not, but that would be hilarious if that came back. I'm pretty sure I was at a War and Peace museum, a War and Peace festival. I've spoke about this in another video, but they did an Allo theatre show there, and I wanted to see it, but I didn't get a chance to stick around. But I don't know if any. I think the main characters and everything was in it as well. But yeah, look, it was a saucy programme, wasn't it? But then it's all about the Germans and whatever else, and these woke flakes or whatever ain't gonna like it, are they? But hopefully they'll bring it back, because it was hilarious. And again, you got to look at the jokes and not fucking think, oh, well, it's about Nazis. What are we going to laugh about because it's about Nazis? You got to fucking lighten up a bit. Learn to live, learn to love, learn to laugh. Right, okay. Dirty air, I should have had this one earlier. Air pollution near busy roads is as bad for the lungs as smoking 20 cigarettes a day, says a new study. It fuels deadly emphysema. You don't want to get that shit. An obstructive disease that causes breathing difficulties. So, if you smoke and you live near a busy road, then you're getting double, aren't you? Because 20 cigarettes a day plus the 26 cigarettes a day from the... That's pretty shit. So, big cities or inner cities, you're just being fucking choked, ain't you? Yeah. So, I'm just putting that out there because it's a warning, and if you haven't read it, then now you know. Fucking, it's all around you, isn't it? The poison and destruction and whatever else. You have to walk around with like the Chinese do with these things on, and they you know, it's not, they look stupid, but it's not stupid really, is it? Because they're not breathing in all the fumes directly. That's the way it's going to have to go, unfortunately. And then you've got people like this serving. Look at that, that's a burger. And the guy's saying, anybody that, well, look at it, it's just literally fucking heart stopper, cheese and about 20 burgers and bacon and everything else on there. It just looks disgusting, to be fair. And a pub is going to pay £500 towards a gravestone if any customer dies eating it. So there's a selling point for it. Someone will have a go at it, but I mean, it's just, all right, it's there, but you can't eat it like that anyway, can you? Literally, unless you're Scooby-Doo. You'll have to just break it up and it'll just be a load of slop all over the plate. So, really, you know, someone will buy it just for the fucking novelty, won't they? Amazon. A woman, where are we? A woman from Amazon, an Amazon customer was flabbergasted when a delivery driver hurled her box of light bulbs through an upstairs window while she was out. A window was open and she said the package had been left. Somebody had left a note saying the package had been left in the safe place that you told us about. I thought which was weird because all the windows downstairs were closed, but then found the box on the floor of her spare room. I was absolutely amazed. The window is over 10 foot up. He must have stood on the pavement and then chucked it through. I found the whole thing hilarious, but if the bulbs had been broken, I might have felt differently. Well, why didn't you just leave it there then? Because you've obviously just getting the guy in the shit now, because you've got, what you've done is gone, oh, the bulbs are all alright, which you should just gone, nice one, because otherwise you'd have had a card through going, oh, we've had to deliver it back to the depot and you'll have to go and fetch it and all that fuck around. He wouldn't have liked that, but he's had the idea to chuck it through your open window. Everything's fine, but you've gone, oh no, let's ring the newspapers. Let's get him fucking right in the shit. Let's ring the newspapers, even though my bulbs are all fine, and I found it hilarious. I'll ring the newspapers, and the newspapers are like, fucking brilliant story. I don't have to tell you what's newspaper. Fucking brilliant story, that is. What? Light bulbs through an upstairs window? That's front page news, that is. It's, you know, what I'm trying to say. That's being ironic. Not ironic. I'm being sarcastic. Always get me ironics mixed up with my sarcastics. What we got here? The Clash. Paul Simonon's guitar album cover. The Clash guitar will be one of the rock's most famous instruments. Is going on display in Smashed Pieces. Paul Simon, the bassist, Clash wrecked his Fender Precision guitar on stage in New York in 1979, and it basically was that picture there, you see, from one of the album covers, London Calling, and it's been described as the best rock photo of all time. It is a great item, great photo, and they were a great band, weren't they, the Clash? I'm actually more into them now. I'm finding out more. I like listening to all their hits and different albums and spin-off albums like from Joe Strummer, and a great album. Actually, I wrote it down. That great album. If you like Joe Strummer or like the Clash, because they were really big into, you know, against racism and like supporting the struggles and in the riots, and they headlined a concert called Rock Against Racism, where it was aimed at, you know, black, white, straight, gay, punks, dreads, skinheads, boys, girls, or whatever. and they stood up for the minorities, and they were left-wing punks, and Joe Strummer was like a bit of a hero in that sense, and progressive, should I say. But there's a lot of tribute stuff to them, and he's got some great albums, solo albums. But there's one called Shatter the Hotel, and it's a dub-inspired tribute to Joe Strummer. And if you like reggae and you like dub, it's a lot of the Clash's records redone in dub by different bands, and it's wicked. It's on Spotify and stuff, and it's a wicked album anyway. And maybe that will just get you into all their other stuff. But there's a lot of spin-off stuff, and he died suddenly, unfortunately, when he was only about 50. But there's a great tribute to him as well on the in North London near Camden. Big massive painting of him on the wall. So yeah, I just thought I'd mention that, but yeah, he's a great picture. George Michael. Moving on from that, George Michael. There's a guy who's launched a range of chocolates inspired by George Michael. The Careless collection pays homage to the late pop star. What's he saying? I took inspiration from George Michael's song Careless Whisper and the classic chocolate bar Whisper. David's Rage Handmade Chucks. Well, he's not saying. What? Well, how are we going to fucking know what the reference to George Michael is with the chocolates? Anyway, I always remember that joke when I was at school. Why somebody got chocolate all around his ass? Because why has George Michael got chocolate around his ass? Because he was careless with a whisper. Of course you've heard that one, I know, but that's what reminded me of that. But he should put that on his box. That will sell then. Make it a joke box. A lack of sleep leads to heart disease. Brits' 6 hours sleep disrupts DNA. Well, the grim effects were spelt out in a survey revealed that just 1 in 6 of us were getting the recommended 8 hours of rest a night. I can't sleep for 8 hours. I fucking very rarely sleep for 6, so I'm fucking dead meat by the looks of it. Because apparently it don't do you any good. But I don't know, if you sleep and then you wake up and you feel like you've had enough sleep, then surely you're fine. So if you sleep, well, I'm a light sleeper though. I've been lots of times, but I can't sleep. Especially with the pissing seagulls about. But that's another story. But yeah, so if you're not getting enough sleep, you're going to die early, unfortunately. What's this? Sylvester Stallone says, it's running out of time now. Sylvester Stallone says that he kicks himself when he thinks about the film that he did, Stop or My Mum Will Shoot. He claims he only took the role to spite Arnold Schwarzenegger. Apparently Arnold Schwarzenegger joked him and said that he was going to do it, so Stallone took it to take it out of Arnold Schwarzenegger's hands, and he ended up doing it, and he said it was a big mistake. But I'm sure there was plenty more than Stop or My Mum Will Shoot that he did that was shit. So, you know, you can't just put it down to that one film. Everything else was great, but apart from that, he just did it. But to be honest, he did a lot of good films, didn't he? Sly Stallone. He did loads of shit, but he did some of the best, the ones from my youth anyway. The Rocky films, the early Rocky films and the Rambo films. I remember I used to get them off. There was a guy on the council estate that used to have this kind of illegal business of renting out pirate videos, and he'd go around his house and he had a list, and he'd go around and like, you always knew when Rambo was coming out that he'd have it about a month before. And I remember I watched Rambo. It was like, I watched it, well I heard it, it was like pitch black. You could sometimes see the whites of somebody's eyes, but you couldn't make out what was going on. But we used to rent these videos off him on pirate, and he had a good little business going. This is way before you could stream or anything like that, but yeah, but the Rocky film, First Blood and Rocky 1, were like, and Rambo 1 were like, what's the word? Fucking, that were just the films of that period anyway, lad films anyway. So, but Stop on My Mum Will Shoot, I draw the line. I don't think I've even watched that. Right, just going to finish up now on what was I going to end up on? A public toilet in Hull is one of the top 500 travel experiences in the UK. Spending a penny at the Victoria Piers loo is one of travel guide Lonely Planet's 500 unmissable experiences and hidden gems. So the culture of, was it the culture capital, Hull? One of the main things to do there is take a piss in the toilet. So I don't know, is that selling the place? I know that the Hull has actually also got there's a place there that has it's on the tourist trail as well, the smallest window in the world. So that's one to fucking to go out and seek, isn't it? So you can go and see the smallest window in the world and then take a piss, and you pretty much visited Hull. I'm joking. If you're from Hull, don't leave any negative comments. I'm only joking. I'd like to go there, to be fair. I'd like to do a lot of all that northern stuff. I've done nothing up there. So one of these days, I am going to take my weak bladder and I'm going to visit that toilet, and I'm going to do the right thing and tick it off my Lonely Planet 500 unmissable experiences. But I'm going to finish up on this last one. Was there anything else I think it was good that I should? There's a pub that has been slammed by alcohol campaigners after starting its happy hour at 9 AM. Drinkers at the Uptown bar can down a pint of Foster's for £1.70, with John Smith's for £1.90 at 9 o'clock in the morning. That's all right. That's fucking great for the homeless or alcoholics who fucking on the streets or got to come out of shelters. They've got nowhere to go. Now they have £1.70. They can sit in the pub for an hour with a pint. So don't knock it. 9 o'clock in the morning while you're at work and then bothering you. What are they going to do? Fucking shit in the shop doorway. Oh yeah, that as well. But sit in the shop doorway with nowhere to go, in the freezing cold and the pissing down the rain. Everybody's happy. They're off the streets. The pub's getting money, and beer's £1.70. So I'm all for it. Open more pubs at fucking 9 o'clock. Give people somewhere to go. Right, last thing then. Okay, I'm going to finish up with this. Related to something earlier on, perhaps. Marrying multiple times is good for women's health, but not men's. Of course, it boosts women. It boosts women financially and socially, and increases their children's survival chances. But men's fitness drops the more spouses they clock up. He also says our work suggests marrying multiple times may be a wise strategy for women. Yeah, so of course it is. That's like a fucking business plan to some women, isn't it? It boosts them financially. They're probably like on some compound interest thing, rotating up. And he was saying that the bloke's fitness goes down because they've been taken to the cleaners and they're on a rotation back the other way, especially if they've been hit with a few sperm burglars or whatever along the way. And they're like going, how did that happen? I'm not trying to be anti-women or anything like that. I'm just saying I'm anti that type of woman that's doing that. But I'm sure there's men who deserve it left, right, and centre. But yeah, it's the bottom line is the story is saying that it's a good strategy for women to marry multiple times. So. There's some bloke stood with a bunch of flowers and he's going like, thinks it's all, this is it forever. But, little did he know, she's got other ideas. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there before I dig myself a bigger hole. I've been Wayne Lawrence. Don't forget, it's on the podcast, should be on the podcast, Good, the Bad and Stupid at .podbean.com. Something along those lines. Anyway. Thanks a lot. See you next time. Cheers. Bye.